Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my Ningguang guide. So in this guide, we're going to be as comprehensive as possible without taking too much time. We're going to be talking about weapons, artifacts, we're going to talk about party comps, and we're going to talk about talents, constellations, all that stuff. Now she can be played as a DPS or a support if you're running like 4-piece Petra, but I think she's better as a DPS and that's how I use her, so I'm going to be mainly focusing on that. We're also going to talk about animation cancelling and basically talk about her charge attack, which is really weird and unique. I've been experimenting with Ningguang for a while now. I cleared floor 12 with her, and I'm going to be leveling her, ascending her to like 90 soon, hopefully. And I'm in the middle of finals right now, but I usually do stream most nights on Twitch, so be sure to follow me if you're interested. So yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's talk about Ningguang's talents. So first of all, we'll talk about the two passive ones. So our first passive talent is Backup Plan. What this does is it allows you to spam charge attacks without using any stamina. If you have Star Jades. Now the way to get Star Jades, and we'll see this when we talk about the normal attack, but when you do normal attacks, basically it'll give you a Star Jade, and with that you can use a charge attack without consuming stamina. Her other passive, you get this by ascending her past 60, so the ascension to level 70, and what this does, it'll give you 12% geo damage bonus, which is huge once you pass through your Jade Screen. What this means is when you use your Jade Screen, which is your elemental skill, you should try to walk through it and then use your Star Shatter or, charge attack or whatever. But basically always try to walk through your Jade Screen. So yeah, as we saw for normal attacks, basically what this does is it'll give you a Star Jade, which lets you spam your charge attack. And your charge attack is very good. As you can see at level 6, the scaling is very high. On top of that, if you do have Star Jades, you deal bonus damage with your charge attack. So it is nice to alternate between normal attacks and charge attacks, depending on the situation. Your elemental skill is amazing. Jade Screen on Ningguang is super good. First of all, obviously it'll be a shield, so it'll block projectiles, make you take less damage. You can use it in Abyss to protect like the monolith and stuff, but that's not really its main purpose. The main reason why this is good is because of the insane burst damage on it. Now I know my talent level is pretty high, and actually I could level it more, and I will in a bit, but the skill damage on this thing is really good. And the cooldown is only 12 seconds, which for a skill is kind of long, but it just means that basically every time you use it, you deal a ton of burst damage, and it's really nice. Also, if you have her second constellation, which you don't need to play her, but if you do have it, you basically get 2 charges of this thing. So once it breaks, you'll get another Jade Screen, and what that does is it basically doubles your damage from the skill, which is really nice. For your elemental burst, Star Shatter, this is just an insane burst of damage. The main thing to keep in mind is that if you do have a Jade Screen active, your ultimate, your Star Shatter, will deal more damage. So ideally you want to press your elemental skill, you want to use Jade Screen, walk through it to get the geo damage bonus, then use your ultimate ability, your Star Shatter. You'll get that geo damage bonus from walking through it, and you'll deal more damage because you have a Jade Screen active. And if we look here, your damage per gem is pretty high, especially considering how many gems you fire, and it's just a really good ability. Alright, so let's talk about artifact sets. For a DPS Ningguang, the best 2-piece set is a 2-piece Archaic Petra because it gives you 15% geo damage bonus, and like all your damage comes from geo damage, so getting a bonus on that is really nice. Now obviously, the 4-piece set is good, but mainly for support Ning, so if you're running her as a DPS, you only want the 2-piece, which means you can pair it with another 2-piece, such as either Noblesse for better burst damage, or Glad. Overall, for consistent damage, the Glad 2-piece is recommended, it's what I use, but the Noblesse is also a very good option for that burst damage, and both of them are really good with the 2-piece Petra. A viable option is a 4-piece of Bolide for increased damage, but I wouldn't recommend it over Petra. I think Petra is better, and overall DPS wise it just is better, mainly because your damage does come from geo and from your skill and burst, so getting this increased normal and charge attack damage is nice but not optimal. Also, a benefit of the 2-piece Noblesse set is that you can actually farm it by doing domains, whereas something like Gladiator is a lot harder to get because you get those from world bosses, which cost more resin than just domains. Alright, let's talk a bit now about the stats you want on your artifacts. So in general, for like substats and just stat priority, the main thing you want is crit rate and crit damage on a DPS Ningguang. Even if you're using her as like a sub DPS for child or anything, you still want crit rate and crit damage. It's the main thing you're gonna be looking for. For the artifacts that have a set main stat, like the feather and the flower, that's what you're gonna be looking for substats. And for the other artifacts, if you can, like for the circlet, if you can get crit damage or crit rate on your main stat, that's really important. Now, unfortunately, my substats are pretty bad here, but the ideal would be something like this, where you have either crit rate or crit damage, and then the other one as a substat. But this optimization is something you're only going to be really doing past AR45, so if you're early game, mid game, you shouldn't really worry about that. Other good substats are like attack percent, and energy recharge is pretty nice too. An important thing to know is that elemental mastery only increases your basically the strength of your crystallized shield, and that's not really important unless you're running like a Bolide on child or on your main DPS, and you just basically want a better shield. But in general, elemental mastery on Ningguang isn't that great. For the goblet, you basically need a geo damage bonus goblet. This is by far the most important artifact piece. All the other, like if you run attack percent or anything, your damage will be significantly lower. So definitely go for something with geo damage. Even if your substats aren't great, it's still much better than the alternatives. For the sands, obviously you want attack percent. But yeah, overall crit rate, crit damage, and attack are the stuff you want, and make sure to get a geo damage goblet. So now we're going to talk about our weapons. There's actually a bunch of really good ones. We're going to start with the free-to-play options. So if you need a 3-star weapon, which isn't recommended but can be nice in the early game, the best one for DPS is the twin Nephrite. And then if you are running your support, which we're not going to really be talking about in this video, but if you do want to run our support, you can use the Tales of Dragon Slayers, but that's not something that I personally use. For a blacksmith option, the best one is definitely the Mapamare. The elemental mastery stat isn't great, but the base attack is actually pretty high, and the effect gives you nice elemental damage, which is really, really good on her. There are, however, a lot of better 4-star options, like the Widsith and like a few others that we're going to talk about. But actually the best 4-star catalyst for her comes from the Battle Pass. Now, unfortunately, this isn't available for like free-to-play players, but Battle Pass does cost $10, so something worth considering if you need a weapon for Ningguang, because this pearl is amazing. Basically, the crit rate substat on its own is insane because you really want crit on Ningguang. And on top of that, the effect is really, really good for her, and you can refine it every battle pass if you do keep choosing the same weapon. But obviously refining it isn't needed. So the main reason why it's good is because this effect basically increases your normal attack and your skill and burst by 20%. So what it does is when you normal attack, your skill and burst your damage are increased, and then when you use skill or burst, your normal attack damage is increased. So you can alternate between the two to have a 20% damage bonus on your attacks and your skill and your burst, and it's really, really good because you get this insane effect and you get a crit rate substat, which is arguably the best substat. Okay, now we're going to talk about other weapons, but since I don't have that many, we're going to use Genshin.gg. So in terms of 4 stars, as I said, the best one is the Battle Pass one, but the Widsith is also pretty good because 2 of the 3 effects are really nice. So this base attack is insane and this elemental damage is insane, but the elemental mastery one is pretty useless because all it does is increase your the size of your shield, like how much HP your shield has. Which isn't that great. Other good options include Eye of Perception, which is really nice on her, and the Blackcliff Amulet if you did buy it from the shop last month. Also the Royal Grimoire, I haven't tested, but it seems okay because it gives you crit rate until you crit. I don't think it's amazing, but it's definitely a viable option. In terms of the 5 stars, all 3 of them are really good. I'd say the best 2 are Memory of Dust and Lost Prayer. I think they're both similar. In terms of raw DPS, Lost Prayer should be better, but Memory of Dust does give you a lot of attack and gives you more utility because it increases your shield strength and then will give you buffs while you're shielded. But for overall DPS, I would recommend Lost Prayer if you have to choose between the 2 because it gives you crit rate and this nice elemental damage bonus, which is really, really good, on top of movement speed. Now, personally, I'm running the Widsith on her because I don't feel like leveling this up. I don't have the materials right now. So we're going to talk about her constellations, and a question I get asked a lot is if she's good without constellations, and the answer is clearly yes. She's a great DPS, a very viable option, super good even with no constellations. And I'm not someone who pulls for constellations, like you can see my Zhongli is C0, but I was pulling on the child banner to get child obviously, and I did get a bunch of Ningguang. So the main good constellation is C2. So if you have this, you do get a lot more damage, and what it does is basically when your Jade Screen is shattered, your cooldown will get reset. And your Jade Screen does get shattered when you use your elemental burst, so keep that in mind. So when you use your Jade Screen and then you Star Shatter, what'll happen is your cooldown will be reset, so then you can put another screen down. So this constellation increases your burst, and if you do have it, you gotta be wary of the order of your abilities. Always make sure to use your screen, then use your Star Shatter, and then you can screen again. C6 is also really nice. Basically, after you use your ultimate, you'll get 7 Star Jades. So basically, you can just do a charge attack for no stamina, and I'll deal bonus damage because of the charge, the Star Jades. So be sure to charge attack after you use your Star Shatter to fully utilize the C6. All right, let's talk about party comps. So we're gonna talk about the best supports to run with her and just a bunch of options. Now, something to note is that since she's Geo, you don't need like a specific elemental reaction. You don't need to proc Vaporize, Melt, or anything since she is a Geo character, which means the support lineup you can run is a lot more versatile. When you compare it to someone like Child that ideally wants to proc Vaporize or Electro Charge or something, with Geo it doesn't really matter what reactions you're proccing. So one of the best support characters for her and for literally anyone in this game is Bennett, because Bennett will basically just increase her damage every time he ults and heal her, so very, very nice with her. And I recommend Bennett with everyone, but especially Ningguang, because since she's Geo, she doesn't really need elemental supports, elemental synergies, so having just that raw damage bonus is really nice. One of the upsides of her being Geo is that the Geo resonance is actually really nice. Basically, when you're protected by a shield, you get 15% attack damage, which is huge. What this lets you do is that if you run 2 Geos, you'll just have more damage all the time. Well, when you're shielded. That means you can run someone like Zhongli with her, and basically running Ning and Zhongli will solve all of Zhongli's problems. So as you guys know, his energy regen is really low. His pillar regen is inconsistent, and hopefully it gets fixed in the future, but since his recharge is a problem, and one of the reasons why a lot of people are complaining about Zhongli, and frankly I agree, his recharge could be a lot better, if you run him with a main DPS that's Geo, if you run him with Ningguang, that completely solves his problem. In fact, I'll link it in the description, but there's a video of someone doing floor 12 Abyss, Chamber 3, in a minute and a half with Ningguang Zhongli. So yeah, Zhongli's a great support for her, but he does cost a lot of resources to be useful, so be careful. Also, if you have Mona, she's great with Ningguang, and a lot of support characters that are good in general can be great with her. Lisa's an underrated option who can lower enemies' defense, which is really good for burst damage with Ningguang. Jing Q is a great support in general. Where is he? Someone I want to level, so definitely someone you can use with her. Same with Diona, especially for floor 12 Abyss. Her Ice Shield is really nice. And as I said multiple times, since she's Geo, very flexible what comp you can run with her. But if you are trying to maximize her burst, give her characters like Bennett, like Mona, that can make you do more damage. Oh, also in case you guys are wondering, my Ningguang's only level 70 right now because I need Glaze Lilies and I'm too lazy to farm them. But I'm going to be ascending her to 80 and hopefully 90. So something really important to increase your damage is basically learning how to animation cancel with Ningguang. So I'm going to try to explain that as clearly as possible. Basically, if you just spam normal attack, this is your attack speed, right? But you can make that a lot quicker if you actually hold down a direction. So for example, if I'm holding my W key on my keyboard while I'm attacking, this is how fast I can attack. And you can see if I don't, it's a lot slower, right? You can notice the difference here. And basically what that'll do is it'll give you a much faster attack speed, which translates to a lot higher DPS. Also, a unique mechanic to Ningguang you should know is basically your charge attack is very weird, and it has two different animations. Now, something you guys need to know is that if you're trying to do a charge attack after a normal attack, and you do it too early, see, nothing will come out. So to make it more consistent, you can click multiple times instead of just like doing the charge attack really early. You can just like double tap, like click and then click again and hold it, and then you'll always get it. Or you can like click twice and hold the third one, and then that'll work. So that about sums it up. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Ningguang is just an amazing DPS, and it's been so much fun using her, and I can't wait to build her even further. Now, I tried to keep this video short while still being as detailed as possible. If you guys need more information, if I made any mistakes or if there's any additional info I want to add, I'm going to be posting a pinned comment, so be sure to check that. Also, check the Ningguang main Discord. It's very useful. It has some nice sheets and more information on her if you want to know more. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I do stream most nights on Twitch. I am drowning in finals right now, but I do still stream. So if you guys want to follow, that'd be appreciated. Anyways, guys, I really hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.